Blood Rites by Rachel Lynch. Read by Clare Kissane. Chapter 1. When the alarm pierced the darkness, Joe Spencer rolled over and flopped his arm out from under the duvet to silence the damn thing. He sighed loudly. Had he really been that stupid? To think that he could haul his kids out of bed, as well as his wife, before dawn, to get into a freezing car, all to witness the sunrise over a pile of stones. He sighed heavily again. Annie, his wife, groaned and pulled a pillow over her head. "You seriously set the alarm?" she asked. She fumbled around the floor, under the bed frame, and found his phone. He switched off the beeping siren and slumped back to his sleeping position. As a national park ranger, he was supposed to be used to early mornings, but he was off work and he'd drunk too many beers last night. "I've got a headache," Annie announced. "You drank too much wine." "That's rich coming from you." She squeezed one eye open, affectionately. "Come on, we'll regret it if we don't go," he said, sitting upright, galvanized suddenly by his original excitement from when he first planned the crazy idea. The boys had been up to Castlereagh before, but never at sunrise. Every time he made an early morning visit to check the site for litter, miscreants and misdeeds, he took photos of the captivating dawn and swore that he'd show his family one day. Castlereagh Stone Circle was some 5,000 years old, though no one knew for sure, and its true history was shrouded in mystery. Funding had never been forthcoming to excavate it, and the circle had sat for centuries, guarding her secrets, in solitude, surrounded by an amphitheatre of rock and fell. The huge glacial boulders originated in Neolithic Borrowdale, some 9 miles away, and how they were lugged to Keswick through such precipitous terrain was anyone's guess. "Come on, it'll be worth it, I promise," he said to Annie. She'd never been. Annie was originally from Cornwall, and the whole experience of the lakes, to her, had been a revelation. Joe had romanced her with 1,000 views of mountain and lake. Now she couldn't imagine living anywhere else. Joe wasn't a local either, but he'd lived here for most of his life. Annie scowled at him from under her pillow. The only light still was the blue glare from his phone. "I'll wake the boys." Joe flicked on the hall light and went into the boys' room. He quietly opened the door and found them both fast asleep, which he'd expected. He gently nudged the older boy first. "Callum," he whispered quietly, and then louder. The boy roused and shielded his eyes from light pouring in from the hallway. His son shot daggers at him, and Joe smiled his best convincing grin. He went to Connor's bed and did the same, getting the same response. "Come on, guys, this will be amazing. I can see the sky is clear, and we don't want to miss it." Callum swung his legs over the side of the bed and pulled on his trousers, followed by a sweater and a snood. He stretched and leant over to poke his brother. "Come on, Connor," he said to his brother, who finally did the same, and in under a minute, both boys were ready and upright. "Where's Mam?" "She's coming. Bags are packed. Let's go." Callum and Connor went out into the hall and towards the kitchen, grabbing protein bars on the way, with Joe following them before going outside to get the car started. It wasn't a long drive to the Stone Circle, and they'd be there in 10 minutes. As part of his contract with English Heritage, Joe was given a house deep in the lakes, on farmland in the middle of nowhere, between Keswick and Penrith. There was no noise in the yard. Not a neighbour's dog or cockerel stirred. Joe threw coats at the boys, who'd followed him outside, and they took them happily, shocked by the temperature. "Why is it so cold?" asked Connor. It was only September, after all. "Summer's over. It's winter's turn now. Death cometh to the land and feasts upon the remnants of life. Joe did his best impression of a menacing stranger, preaching pagan babble. The boys rolled their eyes. Joe winked at them and went to the car, getting in and starting the engine, flicking on every heating switch there was. The boys bundled into the back, and Annie came out of the cottage. "Keys?" she asked. Joe nodded. She closed the cottage door and got in the car. "Right, let's go." He swung the car out of the yard, along the dark track towards the main road. Joe scoured the sky and was happy. It had yet to show signs of the blackness turning to charcoal and then to grey and purple. They were still ahead of time. The dual carriageway was deserted. Joe could have driven blindfolded. This was his backyard. A small sign, covered almost completely by bushes, said, "Castlerig Stone Circle," and they turned off another road, which was even narrower. They went uphill, and Joe looked to his left. "Almost there." His wife said nothing. The boys grunted acknowledgement, accustomed to their father's enthusiasm for outings at odd hours. "Here!" Joe pointed to a gate leading to a field, though they couldn't see the stones just yet, and parked further up the lane. There were no other cars there, and Joe felt a thrill of exclusivity grab him. They might have it all to themselves. He parked and turned off the engine. "Right, team, come on," he said. "Can we stay in the car, Dad?" "Nope, denied. You know that new Xbox game you want?" The boys looked at one another and knew what was coming. "Yeah, well, you have to earn it." "By sightseeing in the dark," Callum thought himself clever, and Annie laughed. Joe got out of the car and went across the road. His eyes adjusted, and out of the oily blackness, one, then two, then more mysterious, tall, dark grey structures appeared in the distant field before him. He heard the car door slam, and Annie and the boys approached. He pointed across the field, and the others followed his gesture. Behind the ghoulish formations, a faint flow emerged from the horizon, and, in seconds, the stones were silhouetted gently by a purple hue. Joe led them into the field. "Watch out for the sheep crap," he warned. "I can smell them," said Callum. In the distance, an animal bleated, as if in answer to Joe's insolence. As the forthcoming light materialised, they spotted scores, if not hundreds, of white blobs, moving nonchalantly between the huge stones, chewing and occasionally looking up at their visitors. They walked closer to the structure, and Joe could tell by the silence that it had been a good idea. He looked at his boys, who were staring at the boulders before them. They reached the outer circle, and Connor put out his hand to touch the rock. "How old did you say these were, Dad?" "About 5,000 years. It's estimated that they're Neolithic because of some axes that were found here. The stones have never been properly dated." "Why not?" "Money mainly. If it was under threat from erosion or farming, I suppose somebody would step in, but English heritage isn't made of money." "That's wrong," Connor said. "Who knows what's under there?" "I agree, but at least it's left in peace and not overrun by tourists." Their words merged into the silence around them and dissipated on the wind. It was an odd sensation, and somehow the absence of other human beings made their voices resonate further. They walked around the stones and came to where it was believed the entrance stood, guarded by two huge monoliths, each perhaps weighing 16 tons. Just inside that, there was a strange arrangement of stones that seemed to indicate an inner chamber. "What was this for?" It was Connor who asked again. His favourite...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?